The long and short of it, written by Bobbles. Chapter 24, Tonight's the Night. After the fiasco at the bar the last time Nocturnal Pike had met Cut and Paste, Annan had been trying to put together an evening where the two of them could actually hang out and get to know each other. He kept stressing that this was meant to be a platonic sort of night, and Pike didn't doubt that. Nevertheless, she could see the undercurrents in it. She'd been talking to him about hurting over the past 2 weeks since she'd originally met Cut, and Pike thought he was coming around. If tonight went well, Pike could find herself being an alpha sooner rather than later. An idea that filled her with equal parts joy and dread. Pike was raised to be an alpha, after all. To be anything less would make her less of a mare. So she was putting in the extra miles so that things went perfectly. Annan undoubtedly just wanted to sit around and hang out, but Pike had a much better idea. She'd give him a taste, just a small one, of what herd life was like, and by extension, give herself a taste of what kind of herd sister Cut would be. Thankfully, through Cloak, Pike was able to pass her plans on to Cut, so she knew what to expect. If she'd read the instructions, she should be here soon. While waiting for Cut to arrive, Pike was preoccupied with milling about the kitchen and rapin, doing one last double check to make sure she didn't forget anything. Ingredients, check. Alcohol, check. Movies, check. Board games, check. Ding dong. That must be her. Prancing over to the door, Pike threw it open to see her potential herd sister, and there she stood, looking appropriately nervous. Hey Pike. Sis gave me your note, and Cut trailed off mid-sentence, her previous nervous and excited face turning into a shocked and confused face. As she continued to look at Pike, that confusion only seemed to grow. What's gotten into her? Do I have something on? Why am I still wearing the apron? Cut eventually found her voice again. What are you wearing? Cursing internally and in a flurry of hooves, Pike pulled the apron off as fast as she could. From Cut's perspective, all she'd be able to see was a blur, as the pony rapidly undid all of the ties before tossing the apron behind a sofa. Cut was suitably odd. Leaning against the dare frame with a beet red face, Pike struck a pose that she hoped would hide how winded she was. What you talking about? Pike internally braced herself, expecting the same kind of biting remark she would receive if anybody else had caught her wearing colty lingerie. However, all she received from Cut was a look of genuine gratitude. Aw, why you didn't have to do that just to make me feel better, Pike. I'd really appreciate it though. Wait, she thinks I did that on purpose. Why? But could, and then she remembered. Annan did say Cut still felt very embarrassed about 2 weeks ago. Pike supposed this pony is making a fool of herself to make me feel better wasn't too far-fetched of an explanation, for this mare just answered the door in lingerie. Saying a prayer to her lucky star, Pike pinned her hopes on that actually being what Cut was thinking. Yeah, you caught me. Figured it'd make us even, for last time her bluff was an apparent success. Cut was positively beaming at her. Arrow dodged. Plus, based on the way her posture just relaxed, Pike's weaseling seemed to have but the side effect of genuinely putting Cut at ease. Well, thank you. Meeting the mare's smile with one of her own, Pike internally patted herself on the back. You're welcome. Now come in and I'll make us something to drink. Cut and Paste was sitting on the couch, waiting for Pike to return with hot cocoa. And as she did, she couldn't help but be struck by something. Pike was exactly as merry as Cloak made her seem. I thought she was mostly exaggerating. The only thing keeping Cut together in the face of this apex Trixie was the fact that she'd seen her in the Colt's outfit. But the fact that she was willing to do that just to make Cut more comfortable made her seem even cooler. And if all that wasn't enough, Pike's tough was massive. She was practically the textbook definition of merrily. It made Cut wonder what Annan could see in an ugly, stuttering toughball like herself. No, don't think those thoughts, Cut. You managed to get in line for a potential herd, so you can't be a complete buck-up. Which reminded her Pike mentioned herding in her note. As the pony walked over to join the earth pony on the couch, 2 steaming mugs of cocoa and hoof, Cut couldn't help but let herself hope there'd been a development. It's nice to actually meet you, Cut. Alright Cut, now's your chance to leave a good impression. Don't squander it. Say something that shows how you really feel. Why you too, Buck? You bucking it yet? She hooked you the perfect opportunity and you bulked it like the moron you. Oh, thanks. I've actually been looking forward to this. Although, as much as I'd like to do the meet and greet now, we need to take care of business before Annan gets here. Cut couldn't quite believe her ears. No harsh remarks. No laughter. Is this what our ancestors felt like when they met the princesses, the original Trixies? Business. Pike nodded. Annan told you he comes from a hairless culture, right? Cut tentatively nodded along, unsure where this was going. Pike continued. I've been trying to tell him what exactly a hurt is, but showing is always better than telling, right? That made sense to Cut. Right, Pike then smiled in a way that only a scheming pony could. Well, tonight, we're going to show him Anonymous was finally home. Jargon had made him stay late for a completely BS reason which left him running late to his own hangout night. How embarrassing. Cut had presumably already been at the apartment for about 30 minutes now, and once he opened the door, he'd find out how she and Pike had gotten along without him. Please let them be friends, please let them be friends. Bracing himself for the worst, he pushed open the door to find Pike and Cut chatting away in the kitchen. Overcome with relief, he let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. Look, Cut, said Pike, I don't want to get all political on you, but Testrals are the fuzziest of the tribes. Oh yeah? Well, in a cross-equestrian study conducted 3 years ago, 7 out of 10 stallions preferred earth ponies as their big spoon. Pike was facing away from Menon, but he could plainly hear the confusion in her voice. Why have you memorized DBI snuggle statistics? Oh, no reason. Before Cut could dig the hole any deeper though, she noticed that Enon had finally joined them. Standing on her tippy hooves to ensure he saw her, she gave the stallion a shy little wave. Oh, hey there, Enon. And Jargon finally let you out, huh? Crossing the threshold into the kitchen, he let out a vague sound of frustration. Yeah, apparently she overheard me saying I'm meta, so I just spent the last 30 minutes getting an earful about how every good stallion needs at least 4 mares to his name. Both Cut and Pike visibly cringed at that. Ouch, yeah, Jargon can be a bit overzealous. Pike, finally smoothing out her fur, smiled. Well, we're glad you're back. We'd been waiting for you to get here before we get started. Taking a better look at the house, Enon noticed that the kitchen was all set up to make dinner. Set up being the key word here. Pike, we have a guest. Why does it look like we're about to make dinner? Pike blinked. Because we are. His gaze flicked between the two of them, searching their faces for any sort of clue to what he was missing. There was none. Pike, are you taking revenge on Cut by forcing to help us with dinner? She looked positively aghast at that. What? No. Coming together to cook a meal is a perfectly normal thing for a group of platonic friends to do. Normally he would have bought that, but her emphasis on the word platonic made him sure there was something else going on. He knew he probably wouldn't be able to pry the wood out of Pike though. Lucky for him, Pike was not the only one involved. Say, Cut singled out, she let out a startled, ep. Looking all right in the eyes, he asked, is there something going on here? Her eyes started moving around the room, avoiding his own. I don't know what you're talking about, Enon. He narrowed his eyes ever so slightly. You sooner? Cut's eyes continued to flick about until they settled on Pike. Following her gaze, he caught the tail end of Pike mouthing something. Something that looked suspiciously like telling him nothing. His gaze shifted back to Cut as she resumed talking. Why, you're just letting your whimsy act up, Enon. This is totally something friends do here in Equestria. Shifting his gaze between the two of them, he eventually gave up. I'm probably just reading into it too much still. Considering this was Cut and Pike, cooking a meal did seem like an odd activity to do for the first time everyone had got together. As far as Enon could remember, Cut had never shown an interest in cooking before, and Pike was usually pretty squirrely about showing off her cooking skills to other mares. Oh well, like many things he'd seen, it was probably just a pony thing. If that's the case, let's just get started then. I'm famished. That statement caused Pike and Cut to sigh in relief. Dinner was well underway, and Cut and Paste was surprised. Once Enon cleared the two mares of suspicion, she'd expected he'd assume control of the kitchen. But instead, the pony who took command was Pike. Hey Cut, she said, could you grab the cream out of the fridge? I want this Alfredo to be extra creamy. Nodding, Cut moved to do just that. As she did know, she couldn't help but notice this was the 5th time Pike had asked her to get something dairy-related while putting extra emphasis on either the word milk or cream. It really made her wonder why. Wait, does she know? No, there was no way. If she did, she'd never have allowed Cut in on this plan with her. An alpha mare like her would have no time for a big tag freak. Thanks. Oh, how Cut had whipped her the cream without even noticing. Come on Cut, you're with other ponies right now. Quit getting lost in your head. Enon was standing on the other side of the stove, stirring the pot of boiling noodles. It was time to quit living in awkward silence and make some conversation. So it's nice of you to let us do some cooking, Anonymous. Contrary to everything Cut thought she knew about stallions, he started laughing. Nothing nice about it. Pike can tell you all about how terrible I am at this stuff. She's the cook around here. What? A mare like her. Cut couldn't help but voice her disbelief. Really? Yeah, she loves it. Pike, a look of panic on her face, interjected. And no I don't. He's just teasing. PFFFT, whatever you say, hun. Wow, she even willingly helps her cold friend around the house. The more time Cut spent with Pike, the more unbelievable her sister's story seemed. Stallionizers didn't have stallions around the house. Well, I think that's really cool of you, Pike. She stopped dead as Cut said that, nearly dropping the container of spice she was holding into the pot. You do? Yeah, not many mares are willing to help out their stallion around the home. There was something in her eyes when she asked. Something Cut almost thought looked like hope. But whatever it was, disappeared in a flash and she returned to cooking. Pike said something under her breath, which Cut barely caught. Yeah, helping out, that's what it is. Sure, for once, the Earth Pony's social skills weren't failing her. It was clear that there was something more there. However, whatever Cut was going to ask was immediately lost as Anon destroyed her train of thought by slapping her in the face with some cooked noodles. Huh. Gotcha. Nocturnal Pike and the others had just finished up dinner. A part of her was still reeling from that close call she had while she was making it. Cut almost figured out that Pike was just a pathetic excuse pretending to be a real mare. But now Cut just thought the butt pony was a good mare friend, so all's well that ends well. The pasta turned out really good too. Not to brag, but that Alfredo sauce was her best yet. Plus, it had the added use of letting her spend the whole time making milk references of Cut. Pike wasn't sure if she'd picked up on them though. Once she got to know the Earth Pony better, she'd just have to actually ask her about those so-called F-cup teats, or she might just tell it all herself once they broke out the alcohol. Speaking of, alright ponies, want me to grab some cider while you two pick out a board game? Pike asked. I don't know, came the nervous reply from Cut. After last time, Anon was quick to intervene. Last time, SHMA's tea time. Have some fun, besides if you get too smashed you can just spend the night here. Cut looked over to Pike, her eyes silently asking permission. Huh. This mare really was born to be a baby. The butt pony smiled. I'll get us some ciders. As Pike leisurely trotted over to the fridge, she could hear Cut and Anon scurry over to the closet containing their growing board game collection. Pulling open the refrigerator door at the same time they opened the closet, she began browsing its contents. Let's see, some Apple Family hard cider did sound good, but they also had pear. While Pike busied herself weighing the pros and cons of apple versus pear cider, the other's conversation started to reach her ears. Yeah, I've totally gotten her hooked, said Anonymous. At least 30% of these games are ones she got herself. That doesn't seem like a lot. Yeah, well compared to the 0 she had before, I'd call that a win. Pike zoned out again. She did have some of that Kirin beer, although Cut's stomach probably wouldn't be able to handle it for at least another month. Pike almost jumped one in and suddenly shouted, holy shit, what the fuck is that? I've never seen one that big before, said an odd-sounded Cut. Quickly settling on some Pear Family's finest, Pike headed over to the closet to see what all the fuss was about. She didn't remember putting anything weird in there, so what the heck had them in such a tizzy? Crossing the room, Pike hooked Anon and Cut their ciders. What's all the hullabaloo? In response, Anon reached into the closet with his magic, and pulled out her copy of Changea. After letting the box hit the floor with a loud thud, he gestured to it. Care to explain this, hun? Quickly giving the box a once-over, Pike saw nothing out of the ordinary. Explain what? It's Changea. Choosing not to answer verbally, he grabbed her in his magic and slid her next to the box. Hey, what's he trying to show here? It's only twice my size. Honestly, this was getting her a little steamed. Really, what was the big idea? Staring at Pike, Anon gestured at the game. You really don't see what's wrong with this? No, I don't. Sighing and fess-having, Anon gestured to Cut. Alicern Changea, featuring a 7-hoop tall tower, she quoted off the box. So what? Pike figured it out then. They thought she was too short for the game. Come on, 7 hoops is nothing. Anon's flustered expression began to look frustrated. Pike, 7 hoops is taller than me. Unbelievable. His attitude made Pike indignantly puff out her chest. She didn't have to take this from her own cold friend. So what? Are you saying I'm too short to play this? He suddenly had the audacity to look flabbergasted at her. Where's he get off? Pike, I'm too short for this. Cut's too short for this. Why did you buy this? That was an easy one. She bought it because, oh, right, she bought it out of spite. With that, Pike's righteous indignations fell away to reveal the moment for what it was all along. Embarrassment. Okay, I may have bought it because the gal at the register said the normal size one was not quite your size, little filly. Surprisingly, her admission instantly changed Anon's tune. Well, why didn't you just say so? Cub meanwhile, walked over and put her hoop on Pike's shoulder. Was it at the board game barn? Is there more than one board game shop? Pike paused, uncertain. I think. The look Cut gave her was, by far, the most piteous Pony had ever directed her way. Tut tut tut, big mistake. Every pony in the know knows that you never shop at board game barn. Hold on, that place. Chimed in Enon, the place we went to get a copy of Bits and apostrophe bows, Cut. She nodded. Jesus, well in that case I take it all back. Getting this was absolutely worth it if it's to spite those fucks so. He'd never told Pike anything about this. What happened? In a rare moment of affability, Cub put on what the bad could guess qualified as a mirror-eating grin. Teed out of him as a fake gamer cold. Enon feigned being angry, but Pike could see the smile on his face. Bullshit. What kind of pony asks some pony to name every board game? There are thousands. Cut, clearly invigorated by his response, responded with a bit more confidence in her bit. Fake. Gamer Enon's eyes widened at her accusation, Fox panic dawning on his face. Turning to Pike, he dipped his head to make direct eye contact. Why you still think I'm a real gamer, right honey? Right? Leaning around him to look at Cut, Pike watched as she solemnly shook her head no. Looking right back into his eyes, the Testrel mimicked her motion. No crying out, Enon threw himself backward onto the floor like he had just been shot through the heart. Ah. My own beloved. What a world. There Enon, consoled Cut, not every pony can be a true geek's netfooling. He potted at his cider that was still floating in the air. I guess I'll just have to drown my sorrows. At that point Pike started laughing. How could she not? Before long the other two joined her. The three of them stayed like that for a few minutes, just laughing their flanks off. After a while though, Pike broke up the laughter by giving Cut a playful punch in the shoulder. That was pretty clever there, Cut. I wasn't sure you hit it and you Cut meanwhile had started trying to discreetly rub the shoulder Pike had just punched. Did I really hit her that hard? Thanks. Enon and I have been joking about it for a while now though, I still can't believe they did that to you though, Enon. Gentlemen should never talk to a stallion like that. As he got back up, Enon rolled his eyes. Yeah, they were pretty shitty but whatever. Where are we actually playing? Cub blinked. I thought we were going to pledge and get a Pike and Enon both did a double take at that. Pike had to voice her concern. You sure? Won't it be kind of unfair that you can't fly or the magic? You'll be stuck at the bottom of the tower. Cut turned a slide shaded red and hid her face, clearly embarrassed. Don't worry, I play a lot of Jenga.